Hi everyone, back again for another reaction video, and this one is for Ship of Theseus. So this is a film that's been recommended by I think a few people, and what really got me interested is apparently the filmmaking is quite good in the film, and I think it's by the same filmmaker of Tumbad, and I thought Tumbad was really good. That was like a solid horror film, Indian horror film, so that's got me keen already. Anand Gandhi, is that how you say his name? Yeah, so he made Tumbad and then Ship of Theseus. So this is his most recent film too. There you go. But another reason why I want to watch the film is it's very philosophical. I've heard it. It questions things about life, existence, and things like that. And I love questions like that. That's one of my other interests in life is film and then self-development slash, philosophy, spirituality, mindfulness, meditation, like that's my other interest. So yeah, this is right down my alley. So let's see what it's like. I don't know much else about the film at all. So let's just see what it's like. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. So without no further ado, let's get into it. I hope there's subtitles on this. This is actually a YouTube one for it. So hopefully it's actually just as good. As a plank of Theseus ship needed repair, it was replaced part by part up to a point where not a single part from the original ship remained in it anymore. Is it then still the same ship? Okay, this question that they're asking here, is this about a person? So if a person dies and then, someone else is born, is that still the same person? And this could be talking about reincarnation or whatever. I wonder if that's meant to mean that as well. If all the discarded parts were used to build another ship, which of the two, if either, is a real ship? Oh, that's interesting. And I don't know, like, what would be my answer? Why does the materials define the ship? Why are you limiting the materials for the ship itself? That would be my question for it then. Like, what is Theseus? Is that a person? Well, is the person still alive? If he's not still alive and they're just rebuilding the ship, if it's similarly made, like it's a similar design, I would still say it's his ship. Theseus' ship. Oh, an eyeball shot to start off with? Okay. Is she like deaf? Blind, so she uses audio to help her to do the stuff? I like the way they're establishing with the shot choices. It's cool how they're revealing the scene.
Did you record the interview songs?
Yeah, we did. I'll send that across to you.
The cinematography is very interesting in this. It's kind of like a raw, handheld shots that stay longer than usual, but it is cool. I kind of like it. Yeah, because I imagine a lot of other films they would have cut to like a face cam shot and then cut to her, but they've composed it in a way where they're using reflections of like the mirror there, or is that glass? I think it might be glass. Yeah, it's really cool how they're doing this. It's nicely composed, that's for sure. She's not even looking when she's taking the picture. Is it because she's legit blind? And what, she's able to take good pictures like that? That's insane. I never thought that would actually be possible to take photos while blind. It really gives you a feeling that anything is possible, really.
You need to capture the essence?
That's very good put. I mean, that's exactly how it's been for me. When I first started taking pictures, I was very much amused by the character of the perfumer and
They have a very overexposed style here too. I wonder if that's a choice due to her being like, her eyesight is meant to reflect that, or just a style choice, I'm not sure.
Yeah, this one is quite an image. Right, there's a very small pond at the bottom.
I love the way this is being shot too, like it's not showing us the picture. I don't know if we will see it, and it'd be interesting if they actually don't show it, because it's showing it from her point of view in a way. Even though we're seeing this, it's showing from her point of view what the image looks like in her mind. That is interesting. Like, close your eyes for a moment and listen to this part.
There's one flying
It's really cool.
from the right and one flying into it from the left. There's one sitting on the corner of the pond, away from us. It's wet. And there's one flying into the frame from the right and one flying into it from the left. Wait, it's actually a pair.
And the woman?
Oh, she's right behind the pond.
Well, the safety of that too. She's like walking right out where cars are. Whew. Wow, what the hell? Oh yeah, so she heard the fight and that's why she... Oh, that's interesting.
Right. I have to draw opinion and assurance away about my own art, away from what everyone else says.
Yes, but you have continued to produce great work in
spite of
any problems. Says everybody.
Who the hell is everybody? Everybody is so fucking stupid. They watch stupid soap operas, they fight...
Yo, this took a quite dramatic shift in conversation, I must say. Alright.
You know your work is good.
Say.
Baby, please.
Oh, there's some good one takes in this film too. Like this whole scene has been pretty much one take. When they were arguing in the kitchen there, that was just one solid one take. It's still going. It's pretty cool. So basically her character doesn't want to use her being blind as like a thing, like, oh look, I'm blind and I'm taking photos. Like to her that idea is irrelevant. That doesn't matter. Is that kind of like what she's trying to go for here as well? She doesn't want that to be like a disadvantage, and that's why she has the advantage. Like, people could see her photos and they don't have to know the fact that she's blind. Like, that doesn't matter. Is that kind of like what they got going for there?
طيب بس بليز كلميهم بسرعة خليهم يحصلوني ها ما تنسيش كلميهم.
Ooh, what is that? That's a mirror. That's very strange, that shot to go into. Ooh. It's very interesting. I think she can see again? I'm not sure. It'd be interesting now if she doesn't want to take pictures. That is awesome. Look at that shot. I know there's a lot of background image going on, but that's really cool. Hey, this is a stationary shot. That's interesting. I just realized that now, actually. Since they, she's had her eye done, this camera's been shaking less. Just less handheld. So there was like a certain sense of, she felt unstable in that way, maybe. It's probably a very simplified way of looking at it. But it's interesting that, yeah, the camera shaking has, or the handheld has stopped. I think it takes quite a bit of, like, bravery and a certain sense of passion to be able to do that. I just find it quite daunting to be able to walk up to someone and say, hey, can I take a picture of you? So hats off to people that can do that, honestly. Whoa, that's a cool shot. The way she's like standing in front of the light like that, that's really cool. Yeah, the way they're using lighting in this film is cool. It looks mostly natural as well. It actually is like photography. Like, they're actually making it like how photography is. Like, you gotta work with the light. You can't like set light. I mean, you can, but the idea is it's meant to be spontaneous. It's in the moment. Some photography, especially this type of photography she's doing by the looks of it. So it's cool that the film is done in that way as well.
They're good pictures.
No, I don't like them.
Oi! You can't just delete that.
She just deleted them. That's an interesting question. Like, is it up to the photographer to get rid of the pictures? Like, sure, they took them, but if people enjoy them, is it up to them to say if the pictures are good or not? You know what I mean? Like, it's only her point of view that's seeing the pictures, but someone else might look at the picture and say it's amazing. You see what I mean? Does that make sense? Or am I kind of looking into that a bit weird? Oh. She can't find anything. That's very interesting that she's having actually difficulty now finding good shots. While before it seemed easier. It's very interesting. It's like too chaotic for her now. She doesn't like kind of know where to start. You like to put blind contact lenses on, or put a blindfold on. Blindfold. You can't see what you're taking pictures of. That'd be interesting though. Like if you actually put a blindfold on, you're actually making a conscious choice to actually take photos blind. Oh, this is what she's thinking of doing now. Huh. Don't tell me she actually makes herself blind deliberately so she can take good pictures again. That'd be crazy. Well, this is going to be a very different area for her to take pictures. Much more still, not so chaotic. I'm definitely a big fan of taking photos like this. Like, I have taken photos in the past and quite enjoyed it. I particularly like just nature. Taking photos in nature and stuff. To me, that I enjoyed that far more. The piece of that, not so much photos out in like a city and that kind of stuff. Yo, is she gonna drop her camera? No way. Ooh. Oh. There that goes. Oh, I was gonna say. She's just done with it. Whoop. I'm liking the music choice I've chosen here too. As soon as she kind of came out into this area, yeah, the tone has changed quite a bit. It's a beautiful shot. It's interesting that she's choosing not to take it. It's like she doesn't want to take away the beauty of it. She just wants to keep it there. Enjoy that moment. I think I may give this movie a point for wide shots, perhaps, because there has been a few good, like, solid ones, so... so, let's see. Is this another character or something? What's the deal? Or do we go to with different characters throughout the film? It's kind of like an anthology. This is very different the way it's shot, too. More steady cam. Like, right now, the camera's pretty steady. Yeah, this cinematography is bringing me back to Tumbad. Oh, don't get squashed. The tension for that poor insect. I love how loud the footsteps are, it's cool. Oh, is he gonna pick it up? That's cool.
Animals which are kept in laboratories, they're treated completely ruthlessly. They're to be killed, they're to die, and they're treated as dead. They're kept in cramped spaces.
Yeah, the cruelty of this is pretty shocking, and it still happens today. I think there are certain bottles you see now that they do claim that, you know, they're not hurting animals, but like, man, there's a lot that don't. So it's like, oof, I guess they're doing it. So yeah, it's pretty unfortunate we're still like that. I mean, it's one of those things, just over time people will become more aware, more conscious, and they won't be able to do that anymore. Perhaps. Time will tell, I guess.
In which these animals are kept and how they're treated.
How do the people... Oh, God. I couldn't imagine myself working in a place like that. Like, actually having to... Like, be like that guy there. Like, man... I mean, I guess you got to make your money somehow, right? But it's like, man, that's so, I don't know if I want to say immoral, but it's just so, like, heartless. I guess that's a word for it. Like, the way he would rationalize it to himself is he's got a family to feed, you know, he's got to survive and all that, but it's like, God, anyway. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, you lock it. Oh, poor guy. Oh, what is that? Oh, they put it on its eye, so... Oh, God.
Religious discourses and conferences. I'd like to share them with a political and scientific mix. Something like the
This is awesome. This is like a really solid one take. It's been like probably 1 or 2 minutes. It's really cool. I'm liking this conversation too. He discusses a lot like not just believing in some religion because it bounds you up, and I'm very much for that. But at the same time, I think religious beliefs, or even just, you know, Christianity, Buddhism, you know, Hindu religions, Taoism, they all have great wisdom in them, and I think it is good to read them. I just find myself to be curious about most of them. So, that being said, I don't find myself wanting to completely indoctrinate into one, because that means I have to forget the others, and I don't like that idea. I like to be able to be open-minded. But anyway, let's keep going.
Force feeding, the torture. But how does it make sense? Because they're all going to be butchered to death at the end.
But let their lives be better than their death.
And just because they are marked for slaughter doesn't mean you abuse and torture them. What kind of a logic is that?
Like, when they live, let them live. Don't make them suffer and wish they were dead. Good tracking shot once again. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with this guy. He's feeling like here a lot. Yeah, this is where I'm really starting to notice the film's good cinematography. With that first bit, that first part with the two characters, it was kind of there. But this is really good. This is really showing me the director's artful side with this character. Man, that's nice. I gotta say, living as someone like this, like a monk or whatever, it's much more simple, hey? Simple joys in life.
Peaks of a violent past.
Just convenient for the son.
I like this guy that's talking with him. He's just like a young, curious dude.
If you kill an animal, it's probably going to come back, perhaps happier.
Well, the freedom of choice and the right of consent is the core of our worldview.
What about killing by consent?
How do you judge the validity of a consent?
That's interesting. So yeah, like, because of the medication, he doesn't want to take the medication because it hurts the animals and all this jazz. Yeah, I see what he means, and I can kind of see his point of view, but I feel like at the end of the day, there are a lot of animals that you kill without even knowing, you know what I mean? Not said as a rationalization, but that's just how it is. That's life. I think life and death is just a part of life, right? You can't have life without death, kind of like the yin yang, right? I do like his idea of, though, like, your actions do have a sense of, what would I say? Our actions do have a larger impact. It may not seem that way, and it may seem like our life is meaningless, but really, I do see that, like, every action I think we do, or not maybe every action, but especially our thoughts, like, that carries on to the next person. So let's say, as a parent, you're abusive, you know, all this, right? Abusive, you swear, you hate people, whatever, right? Well, then that goes on to your child. Now, maybe your child's not as bad, maybe your child sort of was dysfunctional, but even still, then their aggression is flipped the other way, and then they're aggressive against people like that. And then so it's just this cycle of aggression on something, right? Let's say someone that was loving, you know, understood why people are aggressive, because they're afraid, they're full of fear, you know, they want to survive, all this. But let's say they were able to kind of have some wisdom, at times, you know, still defend themselves, but they have this kind of wisdom to them and love to them, and they brought up a child. You think that child would be the same as a child that was brought up by abusive parents? No, that child would be more conscious, more aware, more wise than, you know, the vast majority of children that are more brought up with more fear and all this. But, so in that way, you could say how it adds, you know, how it does permeate. And it's not just your actions and that's it. No, your actions do impact society and do impact other people. They do impact the world itself. That's cool. How interesting life is, huh? Well, that's a rough bed to sleep on, that's for sure. Ooh, that's a nice shot. I gotta say, considering this isn't the best camera quality, maybe I'm not watching the best version of the film, but like, this is in 1080p on YouTube, so that should be pretty good. But it's like, considering it's not like the highest of quality of looking films I've seen, but that being said, like, the filmmaking and the composition and the camera movements is making up for it. It kind of reminds me of some like Steven Soderbergh films that he made on like the iPhone, but still, like, the intent is really good. Like the composition, the cinematography, it's still really solid in that sense. So it kind of makes up for it. So this movie still does look really cool. Oh, that's a cool little book stand. Or like a book holder or a desk or whatever. I'm guessing that's part of the sickness or something, or part of the cancer he's got.
Would get pegged by a bird. Every atom of my body will be recycled by the universe.
Yeah, that's one interesting thing.
But you're a
There's an interesting thing, like when you die, like literally worms eat you, and then birds eat the worms, and then something probably eats that bird when it dies, or something just eats the bird, you know, and then it just kind of goes around in cycles, and then maybe, you know, part of your body goes into the soil, and then the grass, and then animals eat the grass, and, you know, all that. That's kind of an interesting way of looking at it, that's for sure.
fungus spore does that to an ant. You have trillions of bacteria in your body. How do you know where you end and where your environment begins?
That's a good question. It's a very kind of non-dual question as well. Oh. Oh, I don't know. Ooh. It's making me itchy. Tell him I agree. Oh, I wonder if it's too late though now.
सर इसका चेक ले लूँ मैं कल आपसे
What a bark that is.
पे आइए ना कभी
I wonder if this is the next character. I wonder if it's moved on to the next story now. It's interesting if that's the case.
अज्जी ये तो मराठी में भी कहते हैं वैसे हमारे यहाँ तो बासा बुलाते हैं पर अज्जी
I wonder if all these characters will like meet up or something. Or some weird thing like that. All kind of comes together. I'm guessing there's some kind of thematic thing why they're kind of jumping from character to character. There's a meaning behind it, for sure. It's a cool wide angle shot. Yeah, this movie actually does give me kind of some Steven Soderbergh type of feels, that's for sure. Yo, in the back there, in case of nuclear attack. Oh my god, that's crazy. To just have that on the wall. Wow.
आसपास की दुनिया से ज़्यादा पैसों में ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट है।
अच्छा और किसी को तो पैसों में इंटरेस्ट हो जब हमारी तरह पकड़ निकलेगी तो हमारी पेंशन कौन भरेगा है ना
That's one interesting way of looking at it. You need someone to pay the tax to pay people's pensions. Oh, the camera just went through the glass. Did it? What the hell was that? Or is there no glass on that door? There's glass on it. Clever. Definitely does give a different feel when you film in like a one take. It definitely makes you feel a different like connection to the characters that you don't get. Oh, that's cool. Now it's kind of like a close up.
बुद्धिजीवी नहीं थे, कर्मठ लोग थे।
अपनी जिंदगी किसी बड़े उद्देश्य के लिए दे देना बड़ी भारी अपेक्षा किसी से भी
This is interesting. So it's like an argument between someone that is not like a materialist versus someone that's more like a, what would you call it, an idealist or a liberalist. It's interesting, and both points of view are valid. I think it's just whatever level of development you are in regards to ego. Oh my god, that's messed up. This might change how he is. Interesting. This reminds me also a bit of Alejandro González Inarritu, that director, the way this is being filmed with like the one takes.
इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल सकती है
मैंने हाँ एक एनजीओ को बताया तो था तेरा नंबर भी दिया था वो तेरा कांटेक्ट तो करेंगे
Oh, wait a minute, I'm connecting the dots. He just had a kidney transplant, did he? And now he's concerned that he took that guy's... Oh, that's messed up, if that's the case. Ooh, this is interesting. Oh, it's a bit of a tight squeeze, isn't it? Bloody hell, this is very interesting to see this. I can't say I've ever seen a housing place kind of like this before. Looks like he's a bit outside of this. A bit like an outsider. These you shot before with the bridge. I like the composition though, it's very wide. It's cool though.
Det skyddar mig med att säga varifrån djuren kom och att det var... Eller också...
Yeah, this is a sticky situation. Like, I don't think it's his fault, right? He's just going with what he knew, and what he knew wasn't the truth. And yeah, simply if he knew the truth, he wouldn't have done it. See, I don't feel mad at this guy at all. I mean, I think it'd be pretty insane if someone thought, fuck this guy. I could be like, he didn't know.
Jag tror att ni har hittat på allt det här. Jag kallar på polis.
यार कह रहे इन
This is interesting. I guess the whole part of him, even him saying he doesn't want to believe them, it's because, you know, he'd be too hurt to take that truth in that he's responsible for killing someone else by taking their kidney. You know, like it was forcefully taken from him in a way. He can't accept that reality.
Jag tar ansvar för allt.
The only problem is, hopefully he doesn't get another dodgy kidney and then give the dodgy kidney to him, and then he's taking it from... You have to actually get it ethically. The guy's in shock by the looks of it.
और अगर हमको उनसे बात करनी है तो कह रहे हैं कि मेरे लॉयर को फ़ोन करो। वो नंबर दिया? हाँ दिया है लॉयर का नंबर। चल फिर इसके फिर से बात करो।
I wonder.
सुनाई दे रहा है ना साहब? सवेरे गोरा आकर 6.5 लाख रुपए दे करके गया है।
तुम वो पैसे मत लेना
Whoa.
कर दिया ना बस अभी कोर्ट वोट में जाना नहीं है मुझे। वो हर महीने अरे तुम कॉल करके गया। ये रख भाई अपना फोन। हेलो।
Oh, so the guy actually gave him a bunch of money. Kind of bribed him out of it, and now he can get his own kidney. But is that a dodgy kidney though? The 30,000 one, is that a dodgy one as well? So it just continues the cycle.
हर महीने पैसे का जुगाड़ हो रहा भाई काय को बन के रह रहा है काय को हमारी गांड मार रहे हैं कुछ जीने तो ना भाई रखना यार
Oh wow, he's done with it. She's going to be surprised what her son's been doing. I don't know if that's her son. I think it's his grandmother or something. Oh, because this is interesting. Because she was saying like money and stuff and materialism. But then the guy he tried to help, the solution was solved by money. So, yeah, that's interesting.
पुर्जे मिलाकर ही तो आदमी बनता होगा। कुछ और भी होता होगा ना, वरना पुर्जे बदलने से आदमी बदल जाता। क्या पता यार।
Ah, that's that whole ship of Theseus crashed into there. Oh, they did a shot where they passed the camera through the window there. It's kind of cool. Yo! That's the monk. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, wow. This is where they come together. Oh, that's really cool. She was the one that had the eye kind of operation or whatever. This music's cool. I feel like I remember this music earlier on in the film. I can't remember when though. Maybe the first part of the film? Maybe the monk scene? It's very strange looking how his shadow's in front like that. Looks kind of cool. It's almost like a ghost. Oh, okay, that's the ending, huh? Man. Okay, I didn't really get the ending, I'm not gonna lie. The whole cave thing, I don't know what the meaning behind that was, if there is exactly a meaning. That was interesting. I like this a lot. On a filmmaking level, I thought the movie was really good, really solid. It was very thought-provoking. Very interesting kind of things about morality, and also about kind of reincarnation, just life in general, you know, purpose, things like that. It's kind of mentioned as well, and materialism, even in that kind of that last one as well. Yeah, this is really interesting. I liked it. As I said, I I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around it at the moment, but it was really good. I did quite like where it went and the different people it explored. It was cool how they like came together at the end too. That was really neat. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go through my list and then see, you know, what I really get out of it. But yeah, I'm curious to see where this list will go. I don't know what number it's gonna get to. I reckon at least a 7 or an 8, but even more. Who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna get to that, and I'll be back after that. Boom! Haircut. Yes, I'm back. I gave this a bit of time to think this through. I've given it about a day. And now I'm going to do my list of things I like. I wanted to give it some time because there's a lot to go through with this film. And I didn't want to just put the video out. I didn't want to just put the review out straight away. So let's get into this. It's actually, considering I put some thought into it, it's not like this massive list of things I like in this film, at least not just yet, but it is still a very solid list. This is still a 10 out of 10 movie for me. It's just not an amazing film, but it's still really, really, well, look, it's a 10 out of 10. Most people would say that is amazing, but for me, 10 out of 10 is an amazing film, really solid, but it's not going to that next level of, like, let's say, you know, 20 to 30 things I like. It's nothing like that. But anyway, let's get into this and see what we've got here. So, first and foremost, first thing I like is the filmmaking in this has to have shed light on, because considering it looks like it's not the highest of camera quality, the movie still looks really great. Reminds me of like a Steven Soderbergh film, kind of like working with what he had, what the director had, and yeah, it's really great in that sense. So first and foremost is camera composition. The first little story, it wasn't as great, but later on, particularly with was it a monk? That really showed some great cinematography, and then also the next one kind of showed some good stuff too. But yeah, solid camera composition. So I wanted to give that a point for the film. Next thing, number 2, is camera movements. I particularly like just the way the camera moved around in the scenes later on, the certain kind of one takes and all that, which is another thing I'll mention soon. But yeah, just really solid camera movements overall. So props to that. The next thing, this is a new thing I've added to my list now, but number 3 is directing. The directing in the film is really solid. Just like, you know, how, just the overall picture of it, like the filmmaking, but then also some of like the technical things, the editing at times, and then also the way that long takes are done. Really solid directing you can see here. So I wanted to give it an extra point for that. Next thing, number 4, is long takes. This is definitely something I had to give for this film because there's a lot. There's quite a few in this film, and it reminded me of like Steven Soderbergh for one, but also Alejandro González Iñárritu. It reminded me of that director as well. So yeah, really solid, long takes as well, which was really impressive in parts. I particularly like that one where the guy's like peeking down the staircase and there's someone crying down the stairs, and the camera kind of like goes down, and in between the gap you see them, and it's a really nice composition. And then the camera moves back up to him, and then the other guy that's talking, and really well done, really solid filmmaking, that's for sure. Next thing, number 5, is wide shots. I particularly like the wide shots in the film, particularly with the monk's plot. There was some really solid wide shots, particularly in that scene, but just in general, there was some good wide shots throughout the film that just looked really nice. So I wanted to give it a point for that as well. Next thing, number 6, is tracking shots. See, this is what I mean. There's a lot of just really good shots in the film. Like, we've got camera composition, camera movements, long takes, wide shots, and tracking shots. You know, all just camera stuff, and that's really cool. So I really like that this film used a lot of cool film-making techniques to tell the story. So I really like that. So yeah, great tracking shots as well. Number 7 is the lighting. So yeah, the lighting was really solid throughout the film. It felt very natural in parts. Like, it felt like it was just part of the scene. It didn't feel like they were setting up artificial lights. It actually did feel like they just used the lights that were there, the sun or whatever. And that was really cool because it actually matched with the photography character. Because the photography character seemed like she just used whatever light was around her. She didn't actually add artificial lights around. So that was really cool. That lighting was quite a focus throughout the film. So that was very interesting. it kind of adds to a whole theme of this film of the interconnectedness of things. That's really cool. And like even the light somewhat shows that in a way. Number 8 is the acting. So I thought the overall acting was pretty solid all around as well. I didn't have any particular issue with the acting. So yeah, I'll give it a point for acting as well. Number 9 is story. So yeah, the overall story. This is an interesting film. Just like there's many different stories, but there is something that interconnects all of them. And I'll get into that soon. I'll probably talk about that after the video. Kind of a certain interpretation I have for the film. So, but anyway, really solid story, I thought. Number 10, it's thought-provoking. I really like how this film is, it really gets you thinking. Like, and that's what I'm going to talk about after this. But I feel like there's probably multiple interpretations you can get from this film. It's not just one meaning. I think people could get a lot of different point of views of this film, depending on where you're at psychologically. I feel like there's many different ways you could look at this film. So that's really cool. I love films like that. Number 11 is revelation. So the very ending, the way all the characters kind of meet up at the end, and they kind of seemed very disconnected. You know, these characters throughout the film, you didn't really think that they would ever meet up. Like I kind of thought in my mind it would be kind of cool if that happened, but in a way there was a part of me that was kind of just like, it probably won't happen though, because these are very different characters, very different lives, so it just seems like that wouldn't be the case in another way as well. But that was just a random prediction I had. It was just kind of something I threw out. I wasn't actually expecting that would happen, particularly at the end like that, so that was really cool how they actually came together. So yeah, that's number 11, and that is the last thing. So 11 things I liked about this film. I feel like I could even give a point to themes as well, or the theme of the film. And that's what I'm going to get into now, but I'm not going to give it that point for now. Probably next time I'll watch it and find even more things to appreciate. So stay tuned. Like, if you want to see reviews that I make outside of, because I do a lot of reviews that I don't do videos on, but I do it on my Letterboxd page. So I'll put that down. I always put it down in the description of my video. So if you're interested in that, I do a lot more reviews on that, and just do like the list of the things I like, and that's just what I do on that page. And then I also have my personal best to worst films in regards to the number of things I like. And then I also show my DVD collection on there, like how many movies I own on Blu-ray. So if you're interested in any of that, check out my Letterboxd page. It's in the description below. So it's just Nathan Vogler, capital N, capital V. If you put that into Google, you'll probably find it, and it's a Letterboxd account. So yeah, if you're interested in that, feel free to check that out. All right. Okay, so let's get into the thought-provoking stuff about this film and like my interpretation and like the theme of the film. So let's get into that. So there is something about this film in regards to the interconnectedness of things. They do somewhat express individualism in the film, especially with our first character. Her individual, wanting to take pictures, and that, and then like her boyfriend or her partner said to her like, oh, this photo looks really good, and she's like, no, I don't want it, it's crap, delete it. So she was the one in control. It was kind of like this individualist way she was seeing the world, which is fine, but it's like, and then also the monk even somewhat had an individualist thing, because it was like kind of like his interpretation, his way of seeing the world in a way, but at the same time, he did see, it was like a step forward. He did see how everything was connected in a certain way, and it's your responsibility, but at the same time, there's a certain individual thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just slightly less of an individual, in a way, I guess you could say, or slightly less of an ego, I guess you could say. And then lastly, we have another character that's quite the opposite again. He's actually even more on a somewhat egoistic side, especially at first, because at the beginning he's very materialistic, he cares a lot about money, but then this thing happens and he has I think, what was it, liver transplant? No, kidney transplant, I think it was, yeah. And then that went all fine, but then he realized that, wait a minute, was my liver, my kidney, was that a legitimate one, or did they steal it from someone else without their will, against their will? And so, because then all this stuff happened, and so then he became more selfless, more compassionate, right, from that. And that became a certain purpose for him then, a certain life thing. And that was very interesting, just how that played out. And then also another interesting thing was the guy he was trying to help get his kidney back. In the end, the guy that did end up with his kidney, they found who it was, and he just gave him a bunch of money, and that seemed to satisfy him. He gave him like $400,000 or something like that, and he said he would keep paying him money every month or something for the rest of his life, or something along those lines, and that seemed to solve it for him. So it just shows to the main character again. It kind of comes back to the whole idea of money, you know. And I think I've heard this in some places, and I kind of see some truth to it. But it's like, it's almost like money is the new god, or maybe it always has been since money's been around. But it's like, it's this overarching thing that really takes over our minds is money, because we, as humans, we need money to survive, unless you want to live out in the woods, you know. But that being said, you won't be able to have medication and certain things to help you survive. So at the end of the day, money is a certain thing that kind of keeps the world going. Say it's good or bad, it's just simply, that's the case of where we're at right now. But some people can abuse money, and some people can, you know, use it for, I guess you could say, bad, whatever. And so it's just really interesting that, like, yeah, that really changed him. And of course it did, because this guy he's just getting by with money. So getting a bunch of money like that completely solved all his problems. And he's like, oh, well, look, I can get a kidney transplant now, and it's about $30,000. But then it's like, once again, I think I said this in a video, I was like, how do you know if that kidney, I think it's kidney transplant is legitimate, or is that just another, and then the cycle continues? You see, another dodgy kidney transplant. So it's one of those things, and it also then, especially money really can show selfishness of people. Once you have that, you know, it's like, oh, I'm all good, but it's like, it's somewhat of a selfish agenda then, see? So it's really interesting just how that kind of works. But then also in a certain way, money shows the interconnectedness of all of us as well. We all kind of need it. So we're all kind of depending on this similar source. So it's very interesting. But not only just that, but particularly at the end, every main character we had in this story had some type of transplant. Because even the monk in the end, he had a certain transplant for the cancer he had, and he got that treated, as we saw at the end. So every single character, and then the other character, the photographer lady, I think it was her eye or whatever, they did something with that. So I think there was a transplant done there or whatever that was. So every character there had some type of thing. So it shows the interconnectedness of all of us. Like, we all used certain parts of someone else to help ourselves to survive. And that just shows that as much as sometimes some of us think we're individuals, there is a part of us that's connected to this whole of reality. We're not just these... Like, there's a question I've been asking myself recently, and that's, is it me in existence, or is it just existence? Right? I much more steer towards just existence now. I don't think, oh, it's me separate from existence, which kind of sounds silly when you say it like that. But a lot of people, I would say, almost feel that way. They feel kind of like a separate entity, almost. But that's not the case. Because in order for you to exist, you needed to be part of existence, right? You know? Otherwise you wouldn't exist, in a sense. Does that make sense? Like, what do you call it, like a quote for the film? It kind of shows this. How do you know where you end and where your environment begins? So, like, that's a very interesting question. And this is kind of a very non-duality question as well. But it's kind of just like, it shows a certain interconnectedness of everything, you know? And then saying, you, how do you know where you end? And then, what is you? You know? What do you define as you as a person? Or me, or I as a person? So that's a very interesting question you can go into. But anyway, interesting film. I very much liked it, and had some very interesting questions about life, about existence, about how much of an individual we are. You know, and yeah, it's a very interesting film. So thank you for this recommendation. I think one or two people recommended me this, and straight away, I think the person that told me about this film said it's really well shot and it's really philosophical. So thank you to the person that recommended me this. This was definitely worth the watch. So yes, appreciate that. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, that's it for this video. So thank you for watching. If you've watched this video all the way up to this point, and if you enjoyed this video and if you've watched it by this point, you might as well hit the subscribe button because you've watched it all the way up to this point, hearing me ramble on. So there we go. Please hit the subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate that. And like the video as well. That'd be really great. And that's it for this video. And put some comments down in the comments below, some recommendations for other films. I very much appreciate that. And films like this even. If there's stuff similar to this type of film, I'd very much be interested in it. So yeah, put that down in the comments below. And yeah, that's it for this video. Catch you folks in the next one. Bye-bye.